what is the true purpose of life? And a follow-up to that question is, how can one find purpose in life?
I think the true purpose of life is for us to become the men we are supposed to become, the men we can become. And I think when we do that, we learn our purpose, meaning you can't really understand what you're capable of until you're put in a situation, voluntarily or not, where you have to struggle through something to come out the other side. And I think the purpose of life is to put yourself in that position so you can learn that skill set and teach it to the next generation.
Okay. So do follow the journey while you're learning a lesson.
Yes.
Do you think the lesson is in the journey or the lesson is at the end? Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure. And I am your host, Alex Payne. And today we have the pleasure of talking to a great friend of mine by the name of Akash Bajaj. Thank you, brother, for being here.
Thank you.
Akash is a triple certified board physician, triple certified board. How did I say it right?
Triple board certified physician.
Triple board certified physician.
You
Okay.
got it.
He's a founder of Remedy Wellness and Anti-Aging with focus on optimizing men's health. Love it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out. I know you had a long drive in LA traffic, but thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no doubt.
By the way, guys, if you guys want to check him out, check out his website at thinkrws.com. I say it right?
Yep.
rws.com.
You got it.
Dude, I love the number of options and treatments you guys you offer.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the way that we got to this place, and the way I got to this place, kind of creating Remedy Wellness Solutions, is my personal experience being a physician and just kind of what I've seen going through the training process, and then seeing my friends in parallel along the way, kind of seeing how their lives have progressed when they do or do not do certain things, develop certain habits, and kind of follow certain guidelines in their life, right? So the kind of the crux of what we do and the crux of what I try to focus on with my clients and my patients is a few things. I look at their rituals and their routines with a goal of making them very, very resilient to create a very robust man. So ultimately, I want to make them the most robust version of themselves, making them very resilient. And that all comes down to habits or their routines and their rituals. And just break it down very simply like that. And you'd be surprised when you look at the way somebody carries themselves on a day-to-day basis and the types of activities they engage in, the types of, media they consume, the types of friends they have, just the types of physical activities they get involved with. All these things are really routines and rituals. Either they do intentionally or they just passively fall into something. And the trajectory of their life can completely change depending on how intentional they are with their purpose and kind of their actions. Go ahead.
So you say intentional. In other words, everything you do in life, including your everyday boring daily routines, have to be intentional. Is that what you're saying?
Especially those ones, Alex. Especially those ones, right? Because think about most people that you know or I know or most of us probably know. They probably don't really have a structure to their life. I know a lot of people that wake up, when the alarm goes off, they hit snooze, they kind of just goof around in bed. What am I going to do today, right? I have to be at work at 9. I'm awake at 8. Let me just kind of futz around the house there until I figure it out. But that doesn't lead to anywhere good, right? It's like a boat or a ship with no rudder, and you're just floating around in the ocean. But you know what's not floating around? You know what's not passive? Is time.
Time.
And that time is just ticking away, brother, ticking away, right? And the next thing you know, man, you're old. You haven't really put a plan together. You're that guy saying, man, I could have done this, or I should have done that. That regret will kill you.
Regret, man. That's crazy. It seems like a lot of stuff that I put out right now, like the last week, was about regret. I had like multiple consecutive episodes where my guest speakers talked about that.
Yeah.
And I personally experienced that in my life. How can the regret... Now, it's interesting because you are actual doctor.
Yes.
You're an MD.
Yes.
And, it comes from science, right? Very scientific background.
Yes.
Yet you're telling me these things. So I'm
Yes.
kind of I'll poke a bear right now a little bit, and you'll see why.
Yes.
Because people are so resistant to the non-science part of healing, right? And I'm fairly new to it, but I'll poke some holes in your theory, but obviously just so the viewers can know, because I totally agree with you. How can regret destroy your life? and the physical aspects of it. Like, what does it do to you, your body, your mind, your soul, that it drains you of your energy and your health?
Yeah, I mean, look at our society today, right? This is a great question. It's a great way for us to start. But if you look at our society today, right, we take the pandemic that we're kind of still in, we're kind of getting over. But what did most people do during the pandemic, right? Oh, look, I'm getting a paycheck now for free. I don't have to go to work. I have time on my hands. How am I going to use this time? So many people, and I see this firsthand with my patients who are now suffering the consequences of those actions. So many people just kind of futzed around at home. They drank a lot. They did a lot of drugs, developed bad habits, gained a ton of weight, right? When you could have taken that time to become something, a kind of a more optimized version of yourself. You could have taken that time to really build something with all the time that you had, right? Like some other people that I know, myself included, decided to take that time and further educate ourselves, get additional board certifications in my case, or whatever the case may be. And now at the tail end of it, at the other end of it, we see the results of those actions. But the people that chose to kind of passively mosey through their time and passively just kind of go with the flow with the substance abuse and the drinking and the eating and everything else are now suffering regret when they end up in an office like mine because they have chronic inflammation. They have health issues related to obesity or related to substance abuse. Maybe they have addiction issues now. Maybe their family has fallen apart because they haven't been able to kind of cope with anything now that the real world is coming back in order. And I can't tell you the amount of regret that I've seen in that setting. It's incredible, but it's too late for some of them.
What do you mean it's too late?
It's too late because if you have somebody who has like a chronic inflammatory disease, let's say, right? Or let's say they've gained 50 or 60 pounds and they bend over to pick up something from their like a newspaper from their front yard or something, and they herniate a disc, right? Now they need surgery. Now they have a single level fusion. Now that person has had major spine surgery, for example, and now they have chronic pain forever. Most of us in my position can only do so much to help that patient, but they're going to forever have to be mindful because of a situation that they theoretically created for themselves. Right? Now you take somebody else who decided, hey, I'm going to use this time and get really fit. Maybe I already am 40 pounds overweight. Now I have time on my hands. I don't have to go to work. Let me get really fit. Let me get myself in properly trained, get my core nice and strong, whatever the case may be. That person comes out the other end with no regret in that world, no regret in that area of their life because they've taken that time to optimize themselves. They don't need somebody like me, right? Because they've already learned a lot of the habits that I try to teach my patients and my clients.
And what are the habits you try to teach? What are the most common habits that you see these individuals have that makes them end up in your office? And how do you reframe that? What habits do you give them in order to structure and optimize themselves?
Yeah, so many people will come to me saying, hey, doc, I just need hormone replacement therapy. Hey, doc, I just need testosterone. Hey, doc, I've been hearing about these peptides. Can you give me some peptides? And that'll fix my problem. But the answer is, yeah, it's part of it. No doubt about it. There's, of course, objective scientific, tools that we have that we can use. But the real issue is more of their mindset, right? And their mindset is more like, hey, well, if I get up, if I don't have any sort of way to start my day, and this is a big one I talk to with my patients, if there's no intentional way to start your day, first thing in the morning, your entire day is going to go off in just a random trajectory that you have no idea where you're going to end up, right? But if you consistently do the boring stuff, you consistently wake up at a certain time, you consistently, what I try to teach my patients and myself, meditate in the morning, get my workouts done in the morning so it's out of the way, journal so I get all that stuff out of my head, and then immediately start your day at that point, you're already starting 2 to 3 hours of positive self-work ahead of your competitors, ahead of the game, and just in life in general. So midday, when that thing happens, because it happens to all of us, where some sort of life situation, professional stressor is going to happen, personal stressor, whatever the case may be, you're not going to decompensate and just fall apart. You're almost prepared for it. You're more of a resilient human being at that point. So you can handle life. You're not going to just fall apart like a fucking egg.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, you good. Yeah, my podcast is definitely not for kids. I make sure to check that box when I upload on YouTube. So, freedom of expression here. That's interesting. You know what's funny? I personally believe everything you're saying, and I'm a living proof of it because once I really set on my journey of self-mastery is weird. So the whole entire journey is about 10 years, and I realized it this year. because the person that I am today started 10 years ago with simple motivational videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously changed my character traits, like my temper, just the way I react to things and all that. But then this month, November, I'm at like my 1 year mark where I really, you know, hit the pedal to the metal type of thing. And this year has been incredible to me. I've done more this year, you know, in financial aspect, in business aspect, and work and everything than I've done in the last 5 years or so.
Nice.
But besides that, I think the most important thing is once I really stepped on this path of daily routine, being intentional and everything, dude, I haven't gotten sick. It's been a year. I haven't gotten sick. I had people around me coughing and sneezing. I was in a room full of people. One person brought in COVID and gave it to 4 other people. I was the sixth person in that room. I didn't get it. I didn't get sick. And they were like, one of them was making comments like, well, we'll see how your manifestation is going to play out this time. You're going to get sick or not. I didn't get sick. But it's crazy. Once you change that, and I used to be the type of person who would get sick often, you know, whether it's sick or cold sore or this or that. It's been a year.
Nice.
It's crazy how much just that, what you talked about, the daily habits, being intentional, having you know, outlets, meditation, journaling, all that, can really impact your physical health.
100%, man. I'll tell you, like being a scientist at heart, right? Ultimately, as a medical doctor, you know, we go through 4 years of college, regular school, university. Then I go through 4 years of medical school, and then in my case, a year as an intern, which I did in New York City as a first responder for 9/11, followed by 3 years of anesthesia, and then an additional year of pain management, and then most recently, additional training in anti-aging. It's a lot of school, right?
Yeah.
You know how much of that time we spend on things like that are not scientific? None. Zero. All of it is breaking down the biology, which is extremely important, don't get me wrong. But what happens when you get trained in that way is when you see a patient, you begin to dissect that patient into parts. It's like, well, this is bothering, your right knee is bothering you. I'm going to focus on that. But what you're not seeing, which I've now learned, is your entire body is inflamed. Why is your entire body inflamed? It's because you're doing X, Y, and Z to create this inflammatory state. So you can get steroid injections in your knee for the rest of your life, but it's not going to fix the problem. That's why a lot of these patients just become chronic players. They're just stuck in the system, right? They just get eaten up by the system. But I mean, the challenge is there's nowhere to learn about it. We don't get a lot of nutrition training in medical school. We don't get a lot of training outside of, you know, for lack of a better word, outside of the biological stuff. So the non-scientific components of healing and of health, right? And a lot of that is like what I talked about, like meditating. There's now clear objective evidence. There's like data now showing that things like meditation is actually extremely beneficial for you. There's also that, you know, I think we're kind of getting away from this a little bit, but there's also that side of certain types of these activities maybe not being considered masculine, but I think we're getting away from that.
Yeah.
Like meditating and journaling, right? For a long time that was considered like woo-woo hippie shit. But it's not. It's very real. And I can speak to that from my own personal experience. Being somebody super reactive for a large part of my life, you know, finally diving into like understanding there's a problem here. And whatever I'm doing is leading me down a road that I don't want to be at 10 years from now. And then starting to incorporate things like meditating and journaling in my own life has completely changed who I became as a person. So excited about that positive change, taking that to my patients and seeing that positive change in them as well, and just to men in general.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when you do that, you get rid of all the ego bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So much of it is ego bullshit. Like, oh, you meditate, are you like a hippie? It's all bullshit, right? The reality is if you're open-minded enough to understand, you can obtain power in so many different ways. You can obtain power for yourself and self-healing in the gym. You can obtain it an hour meditating. You can obtain it going for a walk. You can obtain it listening to music. It doesn't have to be just certain things. It's really a combination of all of that. So the science is important, but the non-science stuff is equally as important, if not arguably more.
Yeah. No, I believe you. I don't know if I ever told you, I come from a family of medical workers.
Nice.
Like doctors, nurses.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a pretty big doctor. My uncle too, surgeon. So I was gonna be a doctor. I don't know if I told you. That's what I majored. You know, I did my undergrad in bio.
Nice.
Chem and stuff.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, I was supposed to be a doctor. But when it came to grad school, I was like, nope. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it for. I think you mentioned that earlier. You said they don't touch on anything outside the science realm. And science is beautiful. I love science.
Same.
I'm a nerd at heart. You know,
Yeah.
I love the universe. I love science. But there's more stuff outside of science that science hasn't explained yet, possibly, right? I had no idea there's I would not have enough data to prove that meditation is positive for you. I didn't like that, and I saw the cycle of prescription type of thing. That's what I found interesting about you. The first time I met you, I checked out your website. I was like, oh, okay, wellness and anti-aging. Obviously you have testosterone, right? You have peptide therapy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I was like, this is interesting, and I told you earlier the word manifesting.
Yes.
Manifesting health. I thought this guy's different.
Yeah.
Right, and I like that. I was really intrigued by that.
Thank you.
And by the stuff that you do. So, to me, it was like, that I'm not down with the system. And then my respect to you for spending all those years in school. I would not have the patience with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's another skill set you have to develop is that patience, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but it teaches you a lot about yourself, right? I mean, I'm sure you've had situations as well, situations of conflict or situations that are challenging mentally. And that's where you really learn about yourself, right? On a sunny day when it's 72 degrees and sunny, you don't learn about yourself. You may think you want that comfort, but that's not when you learn and grow. I grew like crazy during these tough experiences. During like 9/11, I mean, I went down to ground zero that day with a couple of buddies of mine on the back of ambulances. And we were allowed to do that because we had our scrubs on. Yeah. And those types of experiences, I can still vividly remember that. Those are still some of my best friends to this day. You go through conflict. That's when you learn who you are, and that's when you bond with other people.
Especially us men.
Especially us.
We're tribal creatures.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I love that you put an emphasis on men's health. Why is it? What is it that you think nowadays that affects men's health so much? Is it the diet? Is it the bad habit? Is it the drinking, the drugs, or is it everything combined?
It's all of the above, but it's also above all of that. It's the fact that usually men are not allowed to have any sort of outlet for any of this shit, right? We're not allowed usually to have any sort of way to express the shit that we go through, the suffering that we go through, the conflict that we deal with, right? Because maybe it's an ego thing for a lot of us. Maybe it's society saying, well, men are supposed to be strong and never talk about anything, right? But with no outlet at all, and a lot of the life stressors, right? As a family man, I can tell you there's a lot of stressors. I run a business. I have a lot of patients. I have 2 young kids. I'm a family man. And all of those add additional things onto your shoulders. And when you don't have a way to let that out or a way to cope with it, it's going to come out whether you like it or not. It's going to come out by you having a drinking problem. It's going to come out by you slapping somebody around. Maybe you shouldn't, right? It's going to come out by maybe doing something stupid at work and getting in trouble, by getting in a fight in a bar, whatever the case may be. It comes out and you can't hide it. You can't control it. You're much better off to have a system for men where you can accept that this is the reality, accept that this is the society we live in, but it's okay to have a system, a healthy way to cope with this and get it out. Because if you don't get it out, it's going to come out as a monster. And then you're really fucked.
How did you come to that?
Personal experience.
I feel like you experienced some real shit.
Definitely personal experience, and definitely experience of some people very close to me. At some point, if you hit your head against a wall enough times, you begin to realize this is not the life that I want to live.
Yeah. Especially anger when it comes to men, dude.
It's a big one.
We become really primal.
That's right.
And it's not good when men become primal without any kind of goal.
Right.
Instead
or system.
Or system.
Right.
Because then you're just an animal.
That's right.
Outside the cage.
Yeah. I mean, if I feel anger building up or frustration for whatever reason, and I have no emotional IQ or intelligence to understand what's happening or to even observe it or have a system to kind of like, oh, I need to go away and do 10 push-ups by myself right now and then come back to the situation. You don't have that, it's going to explode. Yeah. And then you look like the crazy guy. And then you get in trouble. Yeah. And then you get arrested. And then, bad things happen.
How much do you think our parents have to do with our habits and everything? Like,
I think in general, our parents have a lot to do with it, but I also give our parents a lot of grace. I'm an immigrant, right, as you are, and I know the tools that my parents had to deal with these things were extremely limited, right? Coming from India, my parents came from India in their 20s with no higher education, no real plan. They just knew they had to come to the US and figure it out. And they did. God bless them, right? But along the way, they didn't develop the tools or the ability to even have conversations like this. So, it manifested in a way in them that me and my brother as young children witnessed and maybe normalized some things that shouldn't have been normalized. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Normalizing things that should be normalized is definitely what leaves those scars in us.
Right. Right.
And then we have two choices, right? We can either be a victim.
Correct.
Or we can take that scar and be like, all right, it made me better. It made me stronger.
That's right. Be a victim or be a victor. That's what I tell my patients, right? And that's what I tell my friends and everybody involved in my programs and myself too, right? And listen, you're talking to somebody who used to be the biggest victim in the world. I used to think it was everybody to blame but me because I'm good. I've done everything great. I'm perfect. I mean, look at me, right? But at the end of the day, at some point, you're going to find yourself alone. At some point, you're going to find yourself with nobody else to blame, and you got to just face fucking reality. And either you face reality and deal with those demons and move forward, or you don't. And if you don't, you got to numb that pain. And then you numb that pain with alcohol, with drugs, with violence, with sex, whatever the case may be, with eating. And you go down that path instead, Look around us. Obesity is out of control. Substance abuse is out of control. Alcohol abuse is out of control.
Mm-hmm. Divorce rates are out of control.
That's right.
Kids growing up in orphanages are out of control.
Totally. Like, kids growing up in fatherless homes, right? Those kids have the highest chance of ending up in jail as drug addicts, suicide. Murder, 67%, something like that. It's crazy.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, man.
But it boggles my mind. Numbers don't lie, yet the system is still on the woman's side. And I see it firsthand.
It's true, you do.
So to me, it's kind of like, okay, guys, let's look at the numbers. That this is math. I'm not even saying this is fancy science. This is plain math. Like 2 times 2 is 4, right? Mm-hmm. And it's stats. I mean, there is a reason why we have stats, right? We study statistics, and it's crazy.
There's a study done. I don't remember the study exactly, but it looked at kids in single mother households. And then looked at kids in single father households, right? Do you know this one?
Yeah, I know that.
And the single mother household, how kids grew up like 67, 68% of the time ended up in a bad place. Suicide, depression, jail, gangs, whatever. But the single father household kids grew up with the exact same rate as the families together.
Correct. Yep. I heard that study.
Am I getting that right?
100%. The kids that come from the households of both parents and the kids that come from the households of father only have the same statistical chances at life.
Correct.
At everything, education, success, employment, all that stuff.
Correct.
Versus mother only.
Correct.
And by no means we're bashing on single moms. Okay?
No,
I'm a product of a single mom household. I was raised by a lot of women. Mm-hmm. So for any of you out there who have an idea thinking that we're a bunch of misogynists talking about this crap, we don't.
Not at all.
We're looking at numbers. At some point, you have to wake up and look at the numbers. Like, numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. And we are the fattest nation in the world. Mm-hmm. And, we're the dumbest nation in the world as far as education statistics go. Look at the passing scores in elementary school, middle school, high school. It's horrible.
It's pathetic, yeah.
Yeah, and what do they teach them instead? They teach them a whole bunch of other nonsense versus actual skills that they need.
That's right. And your point is a good one. Look, this is not intended to be misogynistic. It's actually the opposite. It's intended to wake up fathers. This is really intended to wake up single fathers that are being shitty fathers to their kids, or they're being selfish and they're not taking care of their kids. Look, it's my opinion that whether you're with the kid's mother or not, you have an obligation to the family in front of God to take care of your family, take care of your kids. If you and baby mama didn't get along, it's okay, it happens, but you have an obligation to take care of that kid. Otherwise, you're gonna continue, or you're gonna create this lineage of violence, gangs, drugs, suicide. And in my opinion, that's your name. I mean, that's your name. You're tainting your own name. You're tainting your own lineage. For what? For short-term gain of like getting high, getting drunk, being with a different chick, whatever. It's just selfish. It's selfish and it's short-sighted.
It's not just selfish. It also destroys the society.
100%.
You might think it's just me and my family, but that you're a unit of society.
That's right.
And you take out the fathers from society. The first people who benefit when men step up to the plate, handle their business, are grounded, are God's men. The first people who benefit from that is who? Women.
100%.
Women walk around, they're safe, they're taken care of, they're protected, right? The doors are being opened.
That's right.
Yet nowadays, it's the other way around.
it's a different world we live in now, right? But like, how do you get men back to being men, right? My opinion, my training with what I do, a lot of it comes down to biology and making sure that man is optimized, right? Not just psychologically and spiritually and mentally, but also physically, right? If I have a patient who's maybe in their, like, call it mid 50s, right, and they're having that midlife crisis. Let's say they've made a lot of money, but now they're, divorced. They got a 10-year-old kid with baby mama number one. They're with somebody else,
Yeah.
and they're just like out of shape, and they're just
Yeah.
fucking around, right? How do you get that guy to become a man again, like a true man and a true leader that his son or daughter wants to follow? You got to get them straight, first of all, right? You got to get their physiology in line. Got to get them on a workout routine, get them physical, right? If they can't do anything, run their labs. What's off? Is there testosterone in the toilet? Get that optimized. Get everything where it needs to be so they don't have any more excuses. It's almost like we need to get back into the war as being men, right? We're just so comfortable.
Yeah.
Everything's so fucking easy. You could sit at home and play video games, stream TV, order food, take a shit, and literally never leave your house, ever, for anything. It's too comfortable. But that kind of a man, that kind of a society has now created an overall decline in testosterone levels in men compared to men of our same age group in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And we're generally just decreasing our testosterone levels, which means we're decreasing our masculinity, our manhood. How do you get it back? You do man shit. You get physical. You bear the burden of being the breadwinner of the home, if that makes sense in your particular household. You lead by example. You do the hard shit, meaning wake up at 5 a.m., work out. Your kids are watching you. Your wife is watching you. You're watching you, which is the biggest thing. If I tell you today, I'm going to wake up at 5. If I told you today, hey, I'm going to be here, this hour and a half drive for me, I'm going to be here, 3:34 to talk to you today, and I just fuck off, and I just, oh, sorry, bro, I just got caught up. You're not going to really care. I'm not going to really care. But what did I just teach myself? I don't keep to my word. I'm not a man to myself. Self-esteem in the toilet. And you think when I just go through the world interacting with people, that doesn't come across in my energy? Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does, right? So it's all about getting those basics back to the man so he can feel like a man again. Then he can be respected as a man by himself and by his peers.
Very well said. Well, I think first and foremost, you got to be a leader of yourself.
That's right.
Gotta, like you said, you keep your word to yourself.
That's
So
right.
You're gonna wake up at 5, you wake up at 5.
That's right.
And then work out, you're gonna work out.
That's right. And listen, it's not all mental though, right? Like if you can't wake up at 5, maybe you need somebody like me to help you figure it out. Like let's look at the labs, let's look at the biology of it. Maybe there's a thyroid issue. Maybe there's truly something there that's holding you back. But if I get that all set for you, if I get your testosterone where it needs to be, I get you on the right peptides, the right supplements, you're getting 8 hours of sleep, you're still not waking up, then yeah, we gotta have a little come to Jesus talk.
Damn, dude, I gotta visit your office, man. I was like, I'm pretty optimized for an average guy, but yeah, you can always be better.
You can always be better, right?
Always be better.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. You can always believe. You should always believe that you can be better. Always. There's always more to do.
That's what all the successful people they do. They always try to be better. I heard this phrase from Ed Milet a while ago. It said, "I live in a state of blissful dissatisfaction." So you're always grateful. Like I'm grateful. Like every day I wake up, I have a certain routine, right? And part of my routine is saying my gratitudes. So I'm always grateful every single day. I wake up, I'm 6 feet above the ground. It's a great day. I don't care what comes my way. But also, I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm hungry to learn more. I'm hungry to earn more. I'm
Yes.
hungry to lift more. I'm hungry, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So living in a state of blissful dissatisfaction. It just stuck with me ever since.
It's true. It's well said. Spot on, right? Because the moment you start to get comfortable, I mean, I think Tony Robbins says this, either you're growing or you're dying.
You're
right?
dying.
The second you start to get comfortable, man, that's it. You're no longer the lion. You're no longer the lion leading the pack. And guess what? There's somebody right on your ass.
There's always going to be somebody right on your ass.
And he's going to take a bite out of you and toss you.
Yeah. It's funny how you just talk about that. We went on a hike with me and my fiance yesterday. And, it's November. It's not as hot anymore, right? And
Right.
It was a waterfall.
Nice.
It was cold. So I'm sitting there debating, like, should I go in? Should I not? Should I go in? Because I take cold showers anyways every day. Like, I don't know. I didn't got water shoes. I don't want to get in there. I didn't grab a towel. So I'm making all these excuses, right?
Sure.
Why I shouldn't go in there. It's cold. I don't have water, blah, blah. And then some dude decides to, like, takes his shirt, decides to go in, and he goes in. He like a couple of feet in, not even close to the waterfall, and he comes out. Oh, this is cold. I was like, no, you're not gonna do this in front of me and get away with it. So I took my shirt off and just went straight under the waterfall, and it was freezing.
Nice.
Freezing, dude. It was cold.
Yeah.
And I got out and I dried out and I walked, hiked back with wet shoes. And then we're talking about this to my fiance, and she's like, you need to stop doubting yourself. Like, you need to be the leader that you are, for, pretty much everywhere.
Yes.
But that moment, you doubted yourself.
Mm.
You doubt yourself, excuse, oh, you don't have water shoes, you don't have a towel, this and that, But the second somebody else decides to challenge you or even tap into that, your lying came out, you're like, no, not on my watch. And you went in there and you handled business. So like, you need to be a step ahead. And that's great, but you need to be a step ahead of that.
That's right.
Because we're all so concerned of what will people think. Oh, how would that be? Or, should I do it? Should I not? Am I allowed to do, who cares?
That's right.
You just have to be bold enough to do it. Like kids.
Right.
You got to be like kids. Kids they don't care. They do. Kids and elderly. Like when you're really old, those guys at the gym who walk around naked.
They don't give a fuck, right?
They don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
They're the only people who walk around.
Yeah.
The gym
They're just happy to be alive.
Oh, dude, they don't give a shit, man. Yeah. Yeah. We need to be that.
That's right.
We need to
That's
be
right.
that.
But you said it perfectly, is, we think too much about what other people think, right? And that's our ego. But the reality is, man, like, nobody gives a shit about anybody else but themselves.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit, right? Like, I've dropped down and done like 50 push-ups in the middle of a conference, a medical conference, because I was getting tired and I don't want to go drink a Coke or something, so I just go do some push-ups, wake up a little bit. Yeah. When I first did that, I'm like, oh my God, make sure my push-up form is perfect. Everybody's going to be looking, right?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. As a matter of fact, you might inspire somebody, right? Your story is perfect. Yeah. That guy who tippy-toed in, he kind of inspired you to actually do what you wanted to do, right? You just felt less weird about it.
Yeah.
Right? And so nobody gives a shit the way we think they do.
And if they do, it's momentarily.
Yeah.
It's momentarily.
Yeah.
We're really not that important. And when you put that in perspective, you're like, well, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. But you know who cares? We care. Meaning we care about what we say and do to ourselves. Right? If I tell myself that I'm going to say something or do something and I don't do it, I care. I'm not going to admit it, but my self-confidence gets battered. And who sees that? My wife sees that. My kids see that. Next thing you know, you're just this kind of, fat beta male floating through life, just tossed and abused everywhere you go. And your kids don't love you or respect you. You're just not really like an example to anybody.
Yeah.
You're more of a story of what not to become.
Yeah. Cautionary tale.
Yes.
Dude, women are good at spotting weaknesses in men.
100%.
They're so good at it.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these men, they smell it. A lot of men are not prepared for that.
That's right.
If you find a woman that's on your side that has those skills, she's a great benefit to you.
That's right.
But if you have one, you're dating one that has those skills and she's conniving by nature, oh man, she'll destroy you. Or she'll keep poking holes in you until
that's right.
You deflate completely.
I mean, it's the shit test, right? Most women will give you a shit test. They'll push you to see if you push back a little bit.
And I think that's normal though.
It's good
because they have to test you. If a woman has to submit her into her feminine and then submit to you, she has to be aware that you're the leader. She has to know that, okay, this guy is a leader. There's a line. I'm gonna calm my ass down a little bit, in his presence, But if you're not, if you're one of those just weak fucking gelatinous titties, Cheeto dust eating, Pedro says.
That's right.
Man, like she's not. I mean, you're not gonna respect a guy like that. I'm not gonna respect a guy like that. So why would she respect a guy like that?
I used to be a guy like that, bro. That was me.
I think both of us.
Yeah, man, that was me. And I remember how I used to think, right? Because that shit affects you more than anything. You know that. You said you've been there, right? Mm-hmm. Man, I was like overweight, and I remember spending all my time overcompensating, trying to get like fancy name brand clothing all the time, get like a really flashy car. Because look at everything else, but just don't look at me, right? And then I finally got my shit together, and now it's the total opposite. $5 t-shirts, fine, no problem, because it's not the t-shirt, it's the man in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just me. I mean, everybody feels that way when you walk into a room and you have that confidence about yourself.
Yeah.
All that materialistic shit is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, that's true. When you really have the certain level of confidence in you, you can walk into any room,
right?
And you feel like you belong there.
I mean, think about the people that we both look up to and like and are inspired by, right? In general, none of them are really showing up in three-piece suits and blinged out, right?
No,
They're
yeah,
all people that are I admire. I'm sure you feel the same way. People like that because of who they have made themselves, what
yeah,
they have earned for themselves, not what they've bought
yeah.
off the rack.
100%, 100%. You are your own business card.
Right.
Your representation of yourself.
That's right.
The first thing I see is you, right? Your
Right.
face,
Right.
your body,
Right.
how you carry yourself.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it comes down
And in
to
both
that.
of our lines of work, I'm sure I judge people. I'm sure maybe you do too, right? If a patient comes into the office and they want me to give them peptides, for example, but they're overweight and they show up 20 minutes late and they're just a fucking wreck, but they're throwing money at me. I'm like, I don't really want to do that
Yeah.
because it's not going to work. And then I'm going to have to deal with your bullshit because you're not ready to face your own demons. And it's just a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Because you care.
Yeah.
You care about your craft. You're not there for a
course.
paycheck.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
not about the money, right? Because that's a short-term chase right there.
Yeah.
But if I get that guy and I sit him down and I have a little eye-to-eye come to Jesus talk with him saying, dude, you need to do X, Y, and Z before you even have an opportunity to talk about peptides.
Yeah.
Like peptides are the least of your fucking problems. Your problem is like getting to the gym 3 times a week. Do that first and then let's
Yeah.
talk,
100%. What I'm not too familiar with exactly how peptides work. Obviously, I
Yeah.
know growth hormone, testosterone, but how do the peptides
Yeah, I
work?
mean, peptides has a lot of like notoriety right now, but
Yeah,
in
I hear
essence,
them a lot.
yeah, the best way to think about peptides, they're short protein chains. That's the
Mhm.
best way to think about it.
Correct.
And they're act as signaling molecules. So that's really all they do. So different peptides will signal your body to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, some peptides, when your body is exposed to them, it will signal your body to increase healing, right? Some peptides will signal your body to increase muscle mass. Some may tell your body to increase growth hormone release. Some may help your body sleep better, et cetera, et cetera. So there's hundreds of thousands of different peptides.
Okay.
A few of them get a lot of notoriety, like BPC 157 is very popular. That's one of the ones that really is more kind of fitness centric. It's really popular more for people trying to gain muscle mass, recover quickly, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just a signaling molecule, right? So if you're giving a signaling molecule to somebody whose system is fucked, right? Let's say they're pre-diabetic,
Yeah.
hypothyroid, like hypogonadism, their testosterone's in the toilet. That signaling molecule isn't going to be able to do anything. It's like putting race fuel in like a Ford Pinto. It's like, with no wheels. It's like,
Yeah.
like get the car fucking dialed in first, and then worry about the fuel later.
Yeah. I see. Is a lot of people come to you for peptide or more for testosterone and stuff?
Kind of more for overall optimization, right?
Optimization.
Yeah, because like what we do is I'll take somebody and run them through a program, because it's very difficult for me to say, hey, just do this one thing, and then you're going to be great. You're going to be where you need to be, right? So what I do is I'll initially have an intake with a patient, see if they're a good fit with me. About an hour or so we'll spend with that person. I turn away more people than I accept, to be totally honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the reasons we've talked about. And I'll tell these people, look, for you, Mr. Patient X, we need to do, I'm just making this up, like maybe run your labs, look at your estrogen levels, because these things you've told me about today seem like they're very estrogen dominant. Maybe look at your testosterone, consider these supplements because you're not sleeping well, so you need this and this and this. Get all that dialed in. And then, you don't really remember how to work out because you haven't worked out since high school. No problem, very common. Here's a workout plan, very simple. You don't need to go to the gym if you can't. You got weight exercises alone you can do. Do these things. Track your macros for me. Here's an app to do it. These are the ratios I want you at. And just do the work. Like I can't do the work for you. I can take you to the water, but I can't, force you to drink.
Correct.
So do the work, and then I start optimizing them. And then we kind of have a step up. So let's say they take it very seriously and they start doing the basics, get the fundamentals under control. At that point, then I can step them up. Okay, now you're ready for maybe this hormone replacement, or now you're ready for this supplement, or now you're ready for this or whatever. And then we just slowly step them up through the course of a certain time period to get them really optimized.
Yeah.
And we do this subjectively as well as objectively. So, of course, the things that we've talked about, like the habits and the routines and the rituals and all that.
Yeah.
But then I'll look at their labs midway through, look at their labs at the end, maybe do some imaging studies along the way, and we can see objectively the improvement in these people's lives. But the beauty of it is, hey, I don't want you to be with me forever as a patient. I don't want you to just hang out here forever as a typical doctor's model. They just want you to come back forever, right? Here's your prescription, see you next month. That's not what this is about. This is about like almost a boot camp. Like you come in, you get this like massive transformation, which is a combination of the medical side of it and like health coaching as well from me. You get the whole kind of package. You come through, you come out the other side, an optimized version of yourself, and then you go live your life, and you keep going using those habits you've learned, and you continue to optimize yourself.
That's awesome. That's great. I think we need more doctors like that.
Thank you.
Combination of science and
Thank you. Yeah.
the habits, the daily habits, the fitness and everything, and nutrition. Just why do you think men have less testosterone nowadays? Is it based on the fact that you mentioned earlier that we don't do enough man shit, or is it something else? Because I've been looking into some numbers, right? In the 70s, men had a lot more testosterone, right? And they also lifted a lot more weight. An average man could bench press more, could squat more, could deadlift more than an average man now. So there's certainly correlation. So what, in your opinion, is, from your perspective, why do we have so much less?
Multifactorial, many things, right? One is what we talked about, just like the overcomfort of society for men. One is a lot of the food we eat is just shit, right? I mean, it's super tasty, but like some of the stuff is literally engineered
plastic
to be tasty, and it's plastic. Plastic's another huge problem, right? Plastic in general, water bottles, right? Anywhere you look, if you think you're being healthy, and I'm guilty of it too, and you're drinking out of a plastic water bottle, that plastic water bottle is releasing BPA. BPA is an estrogen-like chemical. You're basically drinking estrogen for all intents and purposes. And then, God forbid, you leave a water bottle in your cup holder in your car on a hot summer day. Now you have a nice warm water bottle just hyper releasing that BPA, and you slam it because you're thirsty or whatever. It's horrible. So I think it's the chemicals in the containers we have. I think it's the food itself. It's society becoming way too comfortable. And just like a lack of real stress. We just don't really have much stress, right? It's a little bit also, man, recently of this whole kind of movement of anything that a man does can be misinterpreted sometimes as toxic masculinity.
Oh, God.
Like, is it toxic or is it just being a dude?
I think people confuse it because the term toxic masculinity, first of all, came from some psychiatrist or psychologist that studied the behavior of men in prison system. And let's think about it. That's like tiny percentage of men, the most violent are the most violent.
Yeah.
Of course, we have outliers.
Sure.
Again, statistics. We have outliers on both ends, right?
Right.
We have men who are pacifist and men who are capable of extreme violence. So how are you going to take that small percentage and then generalize the entire population of men saying that we're toxically masculine? And I'll even go further than that. Toxically masculine? Great. But when shit hits the fan, who do you call? Toxically masculine cops,
That's
toxically masculine firefighters,
Right.
toxically masculine doctors, nurses, EMTs,
Right.
right? How dare they just be, when the shit hits the fan, I need toxic masculinity around me.
Right.
But when times are good, you're
right.
toxic.
That's right.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, right? And that's just the icing on the cake, right? With everything else, that's really kind of pushing men to become less masculine, which, their physiology is responding. That's all that's happening. Their physiology is responding. We're becoming more estrogen dominant, becoming less testosterone driven because of all these things. And that's a great example of how our environment and our potential culture can really affect your body physiologically. I mean, that's a mind-body connection like no other. It's unbelievable, right?
Yeah, you take these boys who were raised by women, who since birth had been kind of pumped and surrounded by estrogen, right? They have lack of masculinity, lack of testosterone around them. They introduce them to a society that kind of in school they talk about being a pacifist, not being violent, just saying yes to everybody, and then they grow up and they date these women who shit on top of that, saying, "Oh, man ain't shit, you nobody."
Right.
Like it's a recipe for disaster.
It really is, yeah.
You corrupt that seed from the very beginning, and then it just grows up in darkness. And then you have suicide rates, you have alcoholism, you have drug abuse, you have actually men who I'm sure you do know other men. You see videos who actually are borderline toxic. They do shit. They hit women.
Yep.
Right. They commit certain type of heinous crimes.
Yep.
Like normal men, we don't tolerate that.
Nope, absolutely not. No. And that's, like you said, the extremes, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, like those guys, in my opinion, that end up like taking their own life or causing pain to other people, it's because they're hurting. And why are they hurting? Because they're not authentic. They're not being authentic to who they're supposed to be. I see this firsthand because I have a young boy and a young daughter. I have a son and a daughter, right?
Yes.
And I see it and they're very young. They're like, under 5, both of them. So my son naturally, primitively, he'll come up to me and punch me in the balls, right? And it hurts, but it's funny, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of want him to do that because he's a
Yeah.
man, and it makes
Yeah.
me kind of happy in a weird way, even though I'm like hurting.
Yeah, no, it's
But
funny stuff.
but it's primitive. And my daughter will come up to me and she'll hug me, and she'll hug my leg and give me a kiss and smile at me, right? And I interact with them the same way. I'll grab my son, I'll throw him onto the bed, and he laughs, right? I'll grab my daughter and I'll hold her close and hug her, and she loves it, right?
Yeah.
We are primitively wired to be different. Men are wired to be masculine. Now, if I take my son and I start treating him like my daughter, what do you think's going to happen? I mean,
He's gonna grow up feminine.
he's going to grow up feminine, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, you know, authentically, primitively, men are built to be a certain way, and some of that includes aggression towards other men or with other men. It's camaraderie.
Yeah, you earn respect from other men, and sometimes that respect comes with aggression.
Right.
I mean, Jordan Peterson said it very well. He said a good man is not a kind man. He's not the man who doesn't do any kind of violence.
Right.
Good man is a man who can be extremely violent
Mm-hmm.
if necessary, but he has that violence under complete control.
Yep. He has the ability to be a monster, but he just controls it, right?
That's
It's
what I
true.
always tell people. Like, I'm not the angel you want. I'm the monster you need.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
You know, and people sometimes expect us, to be these angels that the social media portrays us. No, I'm not going to be an angel if I have to go out there and fight a monster.
No, you can't.
I have to be able to switch, and that's the hardest part sometimes, to be able to switch and then go back.
Right.
Because I think a good man is able to kiss the baby and then turn around, and goes slay a bear,
Right.
or kill a dragon.
And those types of activities, by the way, those masculine types of activities, they naturally increase our testosterone levels. Like physical, like weight bearing, if you're lifting weights or gaining muscle mass, you're naturally increasing your testosterone levels. Naturally. We're built to do this.
Yeah,
We're built to do kind of hard shit,
correct.
But other activities, like alcohol is a great example. Within 20 to 30 minutes of having a drink, testosterone levels go down. I mean, you can see it on a lab result. It's unbelievable. Long-term cannabis use is another great example. Increases estrogen, decreases testosterone, right? So a lot of those, it's just all these little things, we're wired authentically and primitively to boost our own testosterone with certain activities and decrease it with others.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, alcohol for sure. When I stopped drinking, I immediately lost some weight.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed. Now I have all this, liquor. I don't touch it,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
Right.
the other day we had dinner, me and my fiance, and we ordered some drinks, and we took a sip, and both of us were disgusted. And she goes, "Is this us? Are we those people now?" It was a joke. Like, I guess we are. Like the body just naturally kind of like, ugh.
Right.
Just no, don't put that inside of me.
Yeah.
Explain it to people who are, I'm sure you have people in your surroundings. Oh, come have a drink, come have a drink.
Yeah,
"No,
of course.
I don't want to drink. Oh, what are you, fucking special? Like, no, I'm not. I just don't want to drink.
Yeah, you know what I noticed is a lot of my people have just stopped hanging out. They just don't want to hang out with you anymore, right? Because if I'm the only guy there not having a drink, and everybody's getting fucked up on margaritas or whatever the case may be, I'm the weird one. Not them. I'm the weird one.
I think it makes people feel a certain way,
Yeah.
like almost like judgmental. Like, how dare you sit there all sober, goody, judge me right there.
Yeah.
When I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Even though you really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't care, but I definitely feel that. And I also feel that some people are inclined to look at their own habits and their own behaviors. And that's not comfortable for a lot of guys. If I'm out having a margarita every day, for example, and some guy shows up and he's like, I just don't drink anymore. And he's like in good shape. He's ripped. He's taking care of himself. I'm kind of forced to take a look at myself, and it doesn't feel good.
You ever have your patients give you pushback like that?
Yeah, totally. Patients, friends, close people in my life, absolutely.
How do you overcome that? Like, I'm sure, because you're not just, I mean, majority of people are used to, all right, I'm gonna go to a doctor, he's gonna prescribe me medication, this and that, and I'll listen to him, and I'll go home and I'll do what he told me to do. You're different. Now you tap into the uncomfortable zone,
Right.
and you make people do shit that's uncomfortable.
That's where growth happens, brother. You know that. That's where growth happens, right? And people will come to me because they want that uncomfortableness, right? Most of my clients are really kind of like higher end CEOs, highly functioning people, professional athletes, people that are used to understanding. They have too many yes men around them. And so they need somebody to keep it real, right? And I'm that guy. I'm that doctor in their life that'll keep shit real. And I'll tell my clients, look, if you keep doing this, like you're telling me you're not eating, for example, you're telling me you're not eating sweets. But when I look at your hemoglobin A1C, you're fucking pre-diabetic. So either the lab is fucking lying to me or you're lying to me. So I'm going to leave it to you, right? But let's run this again in about a month and let's just make sure it's not the lab.
Yeah.
You know, for example. And go from there, right? These people need that. We all need that.
Yeah.
I need that. I mean, fuck, we all need that. We need reality in this fucking world.
Yeah. We need to not to run from reality, but accept it.
Right.
You know what I noticed about the sweet stuff and stuff that really makes your body inflame? I was cutting for the most part of this year, but then I told my fitness coach, all right, I need to bulk up now to this amount and then cut back down. So to bulk up, like, you need to eat a lot of carbs.
Right.
So I eat a lot of carbs, like 400 grams of carbs a day. It's a lot of carbs to eat.
A lot, yeah.
So a quicker way to substitute, for example, a big chunk of rice is a donut. Right? Hey, listen, man, who doesn't like a donut?
Right.
Obviously, even within moderation.
Right.
And even within very good moderation, because I control my stuff, I noticed when I start eating half a donut here, half a cookie here, or drink a Powerade, Gatorade after a workout, I started getting inflamed. My back pain came back. My shoulder pain came back. Cause, I mean, I can blame it on the way that I lift heavier weights now than when I was cutting.
Yeah.
But then I noticed, like, my body started reacting. So I was like, sugar.
Yeah.
Right? Processed carbs.
That's right.
So I can't wait to finally hit that goal and I start cutting again.
Right.
Because there's a lot of carbs to eat.
But you're right. I mean, sugar is very inflammatory, right? And carbs ultimately are sugar.
Correct.
Right? It breaks down to sugar.
Correct.
So it's a very pro-inflammatory kind of diet, but you're doing it with intention and with a purpose and with an end. Imagine just living that way. That's
horrible.
That's most people. They just live. That's their life.
Dude, it's miserable. Who would want to live like that?
I mean, society, right? Because if I'm having donuts delivered to my office and as a doctor, right?
Which you did one time.
Yeah.
I saw it.
More than once, if I'm being honest. But I worked it off, for the record. But, then Dr. X next door is going to do the same thing, and it's just accepted, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the problem. And then it's normalized. Bad shit is normalized. Like, it's normal to have back pain in your 50s, right?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, it's what do we do? Because, I mean, how old are you right now?
The late 40s.
Okay, you look fucking phenomenal.
Thank you.
You look great, man.
Thank you.
What are your secrets?
Habits, man. Rituals and routines. A nice, boring existence, right? Just checking those boxes every single day will build up and compound over time. That's it. Fucking easy, man. It's not easy to do, but it's simple, right? Personally, I have a very strict morning routine. I wake up at 5:30 every morning, depending on how long I was awake with the kids the night before, if they peed in the bed or whatever. Wake up at 5:30. I'll start my day with kind of like my certain supplements, anti-inflammatory supplements, green supplements, some protein, some creatine, and then slam that in a shake. Then I'll go meditate while everything kind of gets absorbed and kicks in. Then I'll jump to my workout, do my workout, then I'll clean up, and then I'll typically go to work. Start to see patients, do procedures, do some surgeries, things like that. And then at work, try to stay physical too. I'll have kettlebells at the office. I have some weights in my office. I'll just do things here and there between patients, stay active. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I do like the fact that you do actual hands-on work as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that I always had great respect for surgeons and people who do any kind of surgical medical procedures with their hands.
Yep.
It's just like anything else. When you do something with your hands, it's different. It's
That's
not
right.
just I know you didn't just memorize something.
Right.
You've actually had to practice, master it, and do it, and you do it.
That's
for
right.
the rest of your life. So
it's a different part of your brain that you really use, right? And if you don't have that in your business or in your job, it's okay, but it's a great idea to pick up a hobby where you do, because that hand-eye coordination and developing that dexterity and those fine motor skills is part of who we are as human beings. And that's just gender neutral, man, woman, everybody.
Yeah. You ever do any kind of misogi challenges?
I haven't yet, but I think I'm going to this time around. Yeah.
I'm starting next year. I think I'll do one every 6 months, so 2 a year. So
I think I'm going to do the next one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's basic. Misogi is anything that you can, something hard that you can figure out that you want to do.
Yeah.
And kind of, you don't sort of have to master it, but do it enough
right.
to get the hang of it.
And it's a beautiful thing, right? Because like you can set yourself up to try to accomplish something, train for it, push for it, and regardless of how you do, as long as you do it, boom, your testosterone will spike. Your psychology is going to just be super positive and optimistic. You're going to believe in your ability to do things. Man, I mean, I don't know what a better that's the best antidepressant on the world right there.
I feel like you're the type of guy who would enjoy that.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. I enjoy the pain too because I know building.
Right, dude. How important is it to? Okay, this is a weird one. My fiance always says that. Like even yesterday, right? You know, when I went into that waterfall, water was freezing.
Yeah.
And when the cold water drops from high enough, the drop it almost like stabs you.
Yeah.
So it was painful.
I believe it.
So whenever I do weird shit like that, right? You know, whether it's ice bath or whatever, something that, you know, borderline sadistic to myself, she always says, "Why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Why do you do this to yourself?" We do this to ourselves so that we can suffer now, but we make ourselves resilient for when something comes our way. You know, we're able to take the hit. Right?
That's right.
Like my friend Byron says, "Dick punches."
Yeah.
Right? He says his favorite phrase. What do you think? From a medical perspective, from a scientific perspective, what does that do to your body?
I mean, so much. And by the way, my wife does the same thing. You know, when I jump in the pool first thing in the morning, it's 50 degrees. She thinks I'm insane, right? But I get out of the pool and I feel like shit, man. I did it. I said I was going to do it, and I accomplished it. And my son's watching me and clapping. It's fucking awesome, you know. But I mean, you mean the act of just doing something like that, or you mean cold water, or what?
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you just, like I said, I think when you keep a promise to yourself and you do it outside of the difficulty and the challenge involved, outside of the pain, you do it anyway.
Yeah.
God damn, man, that makes you unbreakable. That makes you powerful. That's how you become robust, right? Like, a great example is there were a couple days here and there when work gets really crazy for me, or I have an unpredictable surgery and it lasts till like 8 or 9 p.m. before I get home. And let's just say the day's been nuts and I haven't been able to work out that day or whatever the case may be, right? I get home and I'll work out at like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or even 11 p.m. just to get it in before that day clocks. And I'm fucking exhausted. But you know what, man? I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, fuck yeah, bro. Nobody can fuck with you because you did what you said you were going to do.
No such thing as bad workout.
That's right, man. Yeah, that's right, right? Makes you resilient. Because what's resilience, right? It's the ability to face difficult situations and navigate through it and move forward. That's resilience, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
How do you become resilient? You practice like anything else in life, right?
Yeah. I've done a cold showers. There's been a couple of days where I just had to rush out of the house and not do it in the morning, and at night, and it's the worst. Like at night, it's even harder than in the morning because you're now tired. Yeah. You just want a hot shower. You want to relax.
Want that comfort, baby.
The last thing you want to do, it's worse at night than in the morning, dude.
Yeah.
In the morning, I don't care. I just crank it. I get in, crank it open. Cool. Wakes me up. I love it.
Yeah.
At night, but just so I can cross it off my to-do list.
Yeah.
You know, it's annoying, but it gets it done.
It's like Seinfeld used to do this thing where when he was, I think when he would rehearse a bit or when he would do shows or tour, he would put an X on the date on a calendar, right? And he said something like, life becomes just a series of X's on a calendar. And that's how he would build certain habits or build certain routines into his system. And obviously the guy is incredibly successful, right?
Yeah.
And that always really hit me, right? Like, it's just a matter of checking it off your list every day. I think the hardest thing for a lot of people, and this used to be me too, is your feelings get in the mix, right? Your feelings start playing in. I don't feel like it. Fuck, it's cold outside today, man. God damn, this blanket is so comfortable. No, I can skip today. I'm in really good shape. I can skip today. It's a rest day. I'm going to make it a rest day. And you start self-negotiating, right? Yeah. That's the hardest part, is your feelings.
But then not everybody can be David Goggins. That guy is just an animal.
I mean, he's an outlier, bro.
He's definitely an outlier.
He's an outlier.
The guy will be dying, and he'll still be probably
100%, 100%. Yeah.
But I think sometimes, do you think sometimes recovery is necessary? Is it
absolutely
sleep and just taking a day off?
Oh yeah. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But sleep is a great example. Sleep is like not even recovery. The way people think sleep is passive and you just sit there and you're resting. It's not the case, really. When you're sleeping, your body is still on. Your systems are still on. Your body is just now performing different activities than it was in the day. Very important activities. Like, for example, teenagers and kids, their growth hormone is being pumped when they're sleeping. So if those teenagers and kids are not sleeping well, they're not getting the GH that they need naturally. It's going to stunt their growth, right?
Yeah.
Adults, same thing. Plus, now you have hormones like cortisol. And if cortisol is being unregulated or mismanaged because of poor stress coping mechanisms, and your cortisol starts spiking at night, your entire hormonal balance gets thrown off. Cortisol goes up, your ability to metabolize glucose goes down, insulin resistance goes up. What does that mean? You can potentially become pre-diabetic or diabetic because your ability to metabolize sugar is gone because your body's not resting at any point. So sleep is incredibly powerful, incredibly important. I look at sleep as almost like a mandatory, needed daily activity. Just like drinking water, just like taking a shit, you got to take sleep.
Yeah. Sleep Well. It's a good book. Have you read that one?
No.
It's a good book.
Check it out.
He was one of the speakers at the BK's Live event we went to. Sleep Well is a good book, and then he also wrote Eat Well.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I forgot his name. I have a book behind you, but it's a good book.
Yeah, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But sleep is so important, bro. So important.
Do you work out? How many times a week do you work out?
5?
Okay, so you have 2 days off.
5 to 6. Yeah, but not really. I mean,
What's
the
your
days I don't work out, I'm carrying the fucking kids everywhere. So.
Yeah. What does your workout look like?
Depends. It just depends on the day. Sometimes I'll work out at home. Sometimes I'll go to the gym. Just depends on what I'm training that day.
Okay, so you have a system, different day, different. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So and the reason why I'm asking is because a lot of guys go to gym and it just kind of just fucking, eyeball. Remember what I lift, and just kind of stay stagnant. Nothing really changes.
You can see those guys at the gym.
You can see those guys. If you go to the gym with this fucking for years and they're still the same way.
Correct.
And it'll be the same guys who look at you and tell you, "Oh, what are you taking? Are you juicing? No, motherfucker. I'm counting my macros.
Correct. Right.
Or I'm working out smarter.
Right.
I'm tracking my shit. Macros. Well, who does that? Well, fucking clearly not you.
Right. No, it's true, man. You can't go to a place like that. It's like everything in life, right? Intention. You have to have intention in your life with everything you do, right? Because if you don't, fuck, man. We as human beings, we naturally gravitate towards negativity and just entropy, like chaos, right? Yeah. If you leave a house and you never clean the house, everything ends up being messier and it doesn't get cleaner and cleaner. It gets messier and messier, right? For me, at least personally, if I don't work on myself with my physical activities, my journaling, my meditating, getting everything in the right place, I'll be a very negative person.
Yeah.
Just I default to negativity.
Yeah.
But if I work through that shit, I can at least start my day on a positive note. So when that negative shit comes my way, I'm now not starting in a negative place. And that's a lot of people. And I just think people don't realize that. They just think their job sucks. Well, maybe your job doesn't suck. Maybe you suck because, you're coming into it with a negative attitude.
Oh, 100%. There's so many people, I'm sure, even in your field as well, where
people
just come into it like, why are you even here? Like, you're making this place worse than it was before you.
Right.
Now, I know we talked about, obviously wellness. We talked about testosterone, peptides, daily habits, routines, doing hard shit. How does all that tie into like anti-aging? Or does it? Or is it something else?
It certainly does, right? Because what is aging, right? The major part of aging is inflammation. It's a major factor behind aggressive or kind of accelerated aging, we'll call it. It's inflammation, right? So anything you can do to mitigate inflammation, you're going to slow down that process. What can you do to mitigate inflammation? Obviously, diet is an obvious one. Clean up the anti-inflammatory foods. But working out, let's say you're starting to put on muscle mass. That muscle mass can now help with metabolism. It can help burn fat. When you're burning fat, you have less stores of fat, which means you have less places where estrogen can now hide out. If you're doing that, you become more testosterone dominant. Testosterone is an anti-inflammatory, as a hormone, it's an anti-inflammatory hormone by nature. Proper sleep can also become a strong anti-inflammatory because you're getting your cortisol regulated, your GH regulated. They all have anti-inflammatory effects. So all of these activities can mitigate inflammation, which will mitigate aging. But there's Advil will be an anti-inflammatory too, but it's not going to slow down aging, right? It's synthetic side effects, harden your kidneys, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's doing the hard stuff. You got to do the work to get that intrinsic, natural anti-inflammatory benefit.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And how can people, so essentially everything you described, plus we talked about it, that's mostly in the sense that's what people need to do to bring themselves to self-healing, right? To just watch their diet, the routines, their habits, all that kind of will manifest or into self-healing for
Yeah,
people?
I mean, what I tell my clients is like I break it down like the rituals and the routines that you engage in. We're going to look at those things first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because and a lot of my clients will be like, "Well, no, I came to you as a doctor. I want you to just prescribe this for me, right?"
Exactly. 'Cause-
And yeah, listen, I get it, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not doing that because any doctor on the street can do that. That's not what this is about. This is about changing your fucking life.
yeah.
So you don't need me anymore. So you don't need a doctor anymore, right? I mean, gone are the days, in my opinion, or they're going medicine 2.0, where if you use the metaphor of a car, and I like this analogy a lot, let's say our bodies and our minds are a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
God has given you a Ferrari and it's handed you the keys. He's handed you the keys and said, all right, go have a nice day with your Ferrari, have a nice life with your Ferrari. But he never teaches you to rotate the tires. We never learn to change the oil. We never learn to take care of the leather inside, wash the car. We don't learn any of that. So most people, they just drive their Ferrari at 100 miles an hour and they crash into walls and they just never change the oil, never change the tires, and they fucking explode one day, right? And when the tires literally fall off, hey, doctor, right? They call their mechanic, aka the doctor. Hey, I need you to put tires back on my car and make it perfect again. Medicine 2.0. You go see the doctor. Okay, take this prescription. Try this. Try this. Basically, here, let me give you a set of new tires, and here's a new hood. Oh, here's the keys. See you later. They just go out and hit another wall, right? They hit a pothole, blow everything off again, and they come back. Reactive medicine, right? And that's medicine today. It's just reactive. Wait till everything breaks and then try to fix it and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing it in a healthcare system that's frankly broken and inefficient, not cost effective at all. Medicine 3.0 is kind of where my focus is at. Listen, I'm going to teach you how to wash your car, how to change your oil, how to change your tires, rotate your tires, clean the leather inside. Do these things with me for a finite amount of time, and then I will hand you the keys back, and then you go and live your life because now you know how to take care of yourself. That's what we're focused on. That's what we're doing. But so much of that is not, let me give you a prescription for testosterone. So much of that is more, let me show you how to take care of yourself so you don't necessarily need all these prescriptions down the road.
Yeah. You definitely opened my eyes up to that because even for me, I was like, testosterone, right? I think you just go in and you get prescribed, but you look under the hood.
Yeah,
You pop the hood open and you look under the hood.
You have to,
long
right?
term, that's more important.
Yeah, and long term, right? Because inflammation, we all know inflammation causes aches and pains and all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
did you know that inflammation is also associated with neurodegenerative diseases like
Really?
dementia, like Alzheimer's, like certain cancers, right? So
Is that
all of
because it
those
creates
things,
acidic environment in your body?
it's just a chronic inflammatory state, which is not natural, which is damaging, which is oxidative versus antioxidative, and your body never has the ability to clean up the mess. Because also when you're inflamed, you're not sleeping well, and everything just kind of flows together into the perfect storm.
Yeah. So it's not one thing; it's a combination, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
I think BK, remember, had an episode where dedicated to like how to be a more optimized human being.
Hmm.
I think it's important. Like, at least for me, like I'm definitely gonna come check you out, visit you, because I learned so much just today here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
But other than just outside of that, like now that I truly have the purpose and something that I have to look forward to doing and my goals, right? It's behooves me to be optimized
Yeah.
because I can time collapse that, and I can have more energy, more drive, more testosterone, like maybe stronger, better, healthier to go after my goals and dreams.
Right. Right.
And that's important. At least for me, it is.
It's everything, man. And like I'll tell you, with kids, that changed for me. That changed everything because it's not about me anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm an older father. I'm in my late 40s, like I said, and I have two kids under 5. So I got to stick around for a long time,
wow, yeah.
because I want to be throwing that football to my kid in the yard when he's in high school. So I have more of an impetus than I've ever had in my life to be really optimized. So is it really worth having that margarita today? Because it's going to throw them off my diet. It's going to throw off my macros. If I have that, I'm probably not going to, do my second workout. Everything just falls to shit. And for what? For what? I mean, listen, I've been down every road of partying. I know the end of every fucking story. I've lived every single chapter in that book of partying, right? I mean, alcohol, whatever. We won't get into all the specifics today, but like, there's no mystery, right? There's no mystery at the end. And the last thing I want to do is have my kids, my son or my daughter, look at me and dad's fucking drunk and he can't even walk straight, or why is dad slurring his words? To me, that's just super selfish. I'm putting my needs before my family's, and that's just super selfish.
Damn, I don't have any kids, but I remember that.
Yeah.
They say your life really changes once you get kids. Like you become extremely protective in your animal instincts. So like
You should.
hiding up.
You should.
Yeah. One day. I like kids.
Yeah,
I really love kids, man.
And you should become that way too, is what I was saying, right? Because a lot of dads don't become that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dads will run away, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier.
You know what pisses me the hell off, man? When I'm somewhere, store, usually it's a store, or somewhere and I see a father and a son, and a father is fat, and a kid is fat. It pisses me. I just want to come up and I want to slap the father across the face because he's failing his son,
Right.
or even a daughter.
Right.
Like you're taking this child, and you basically from the very beginning introduce him to a life of misery and being bullied and being, unhealthy, and then just you send them off to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is rough, man. They'll bully you, man. They'll pick at you, and then just how do you set your child up, the person you're supposed to love the most? You make him this obese bubble.
Totally.
And then you're like, okay, go figure it out now. Now you fucked this whole child's life up.
Totally. And you know what the worst part about that is? Is that kid normalizes it. Why? Because dad's fat.
Yeah.
Dad did it. Dad's okay.
Yeah.
And it's worse if dad is successful. Because if you're successful and you're a fat ass, yeah, I'm fat too, but like, look at dad. Dad's fat and he made this great life for us, so I'll just do the same thing. It's okay.
I don't know, man. It's not okay. It's not okay. That's why I admire and respect men who really, take care of their health and they really follow their purpose and, do what they got to do.
Yeah, man. You can't normalize that shit.
No,
that's a problem.
It pisses me off. Yeah, you're pretty active with your kids. You're always on the beach, playing with them.
100%.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, they're great, man. They're great.
Handful?
But they are a handful, but I wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Yeah.
And lead by example, right? My son now does squats with me in the garage and push-ups, and he loves it. He's great.
I love it.
You
This is what we need. We need more fathers like you, man.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah. It's very kind of you to say that. I really appreciate you saying that.
I always like to ask this question before I end an episode. It's a two-part question, right? And the first part is, what is the true purpose of life? And a follow-up to that question is, how can one find purpose in life?
I think the true purpose of life is for us to become the men we are supposed to become, the men we can become. And I think when we do that, we learn our purpose, meaning you can't really understand what you're capable of until you're put in a situation, voluntarily or not, where you have to struggle through something to come out the other side. And I think the purpose of life is to put yourself in that position so you can learn that skill set and teach it to the next generation.
Okay. So do follow the journey while you're learning a lesson.
Yes.
You think the lesson is in the journey or the lesson is at the end?
The journey.
The journey?
The end is just
I agree with you.
Icing.
I agree. Because that's what makes us us.
That's right.
All the traumatic experiences.
Right.
All the the pain, the suffering, the trauma. That's what makes us who we are.
Right.
We either succumb to it or we like a phoenix, we just raise from the ashes.
Yeah. And I think it's important to be grateful for it. Yeah. Grateful for the pain. Grateful for the dark moments. Because that's who makes you who you are.
But being able to be grateful for really, really dark moments in your life is a whole nother level of self-consciousness.
So hard.
Because there's some experiences that just should not have been there.
100%, bro. But what are you going to do? Are you going to cry about it? Nobody's coming to save us, right? Nobody's coming to save you. No. Or you're going to embrace that pain and become something out of it, like a phoenix, like you said.
Yeah, raise from the ashes.
Yeah, I love that.
How can a person find purpose? Let's say you're talking to a 21-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Who's in college, who's partying it up and just, living everyday life just like we all did, right?
Yeah.
It's like I did, in college, and just lack purpose. Been raised with standard average habits, daily habits, which is none.
Right.
Average family, average trauma, whatever, and just lacks purpose in life.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if my son came to me and he said, hey, Dad, what's my purpose? Can you help me find it? I think I would probably help him expose himself to conflict and some sort of challenge. Because I think, especially as a young boy or a young girl, you will find your purpose or what you're drawn to or what you're interested in by trying different things that are hard. And I think when you overcome those hard things, you will understand more about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at, where you need to grow, where you don't, and you will eventually open the door to, the universe will open the door to your purpose.
Yeah. I believe in that. That's great. You keep knocking, and the universe will eventually open the door.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the thing is, it takes a lot of years sometimes to knock, man.
It does.
People
But what else are you
give
going to do, right? You're going to sit in a room and play video games all day and just like hide from the world and die? Can't do that.
Unfortunately, there's not many people out there like yourself, for example, like me, who some people just accept that. And I heard this phrase a long time ago. It changed my life. And I heard Joe Rogan say it. I don't think it belongs to Joe Rogan, but I heard him say it. It says, most men live life of quiet desperation.
Yes, I've heard that too.
It touched my soul, man.
Me too, man. And it's so fucking true. It's so sad.
It's sad.
Yeah.
When you look a man in the eyes and the spark is gone, it is just a dead animal.
It's just heartbreaking, man. And that can get to a point where you can't come back.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, man. So conflict, bro. I think conflict, exposing yourself to stressors prepares you, right? Because, listen, like you said earlier, life is not all puppy dogs and rainbows. As much as I would love it to be, especially for my kids, it's not. So I intentionally plan on showing my kid, look, life is not easy. The way that kid said that to you or did that, this is your response, right? I'm not condoning violence in any way, but I'm saying you have to be able to stand up for yourself. You have to be able to defend, but you have to have the skill set to do so. And that's where you build that resilience.
Love it. I 100% agree with you. We need to do hard shit.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's beautifully said.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
One more time for the viewers, right? If you guys liked anything we talked about today, hopefully you did, because my boy Akash dropped a lot of knowledge on you guys, including myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Please click like, share, and subscribe. And you want to let them know where to find you, because I think your services are absolutely fantastic. I will definitely stop by your office.
Thank you, man.
Overall, I learned so much today, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, my website is thinkrws.com. You can find me on Instagram. I post pretty much daily at Akash Bajaj MD. You can always reach out to me directly there. You can DM me, and I will DM you back personally.
Yeah, this guy has a ton of knowledge, guys. Take advantage of that.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother, for being here, and I really appreciate your time and everything you educated me on today.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Thank you.
That was fun. Appreciate you.
Likewise.